Every time the U.S. Corps of Engineers opens the Bonnet Spillway in Louisiana to deal with Mississippi River flooding, it's an environmental and economic disaster for our Mississippi Sound. The Mississippi Sound Coalition is made up of concerned citizens and scientists. The group is on a mission to save our sound. Gerald Blessey from the coalition is right here right now to talk about some recent developments in this ongoing battle. Gerald, always good to see you, and thanks for joining us.
Thank you, Dave.
Appreciate it. You know, what we've been saying, state leaders and specifically the coast, and what your group has been talking about is having a seat at the table. We really weren't involved in decision making, but it seems like in the last year or so, our voices are being heard more and more.
I think so, thanks to our congressional delegation, especially the senators and Congressman Ezell, and the local mayors and supervisors have really just demanded to be heard, and the Corps is finally paying some attention, yes.
And there's been quite a bit of activity lately. You talked about our congressional delegation, Congressman Ezell and others. They had congressional hearings. The Mississippi River Commission heard from your group. So there has been some activity.
Yes, and we recently received a letter, the Corps, thanking us for our input. And we've basically said we'd like them in their current study that the Congress ordered them to do to look at replacing the Bonnet and the Morganza Spillway with modern technology or modern structures so they can open and close them more quickly and use them in tandem, and we're not the only ones getting the brunt of the problem.
Well, you talked about Morganza, just so people understand. Morganza's north, and it would send water into the Atchafalaya Basin to the west, whereas Bonnet Carre shoots it into Lake Pontchartrain and then the Mississippi Sound, which is a disaster for us. Why don't they have a more measured and balanced approach by using both spillways?
Well, we think they can. They claim that they're bound by the existing law, and they say Congress could change that law, and we've asked the Congress to consider changing the law to make them take a new look at it. The study itself in the recent letter says we are now looking at doing that.
And finally, I always like to remind people, as I'm sure you do, the Mississippi River, it's just water. No, we're talking about pollution, we're talking about fertilizers, we're talking about pesticides, insecticides, and that's what kills the oyster reefs and damages everything out there.
We have three looming threats, just the floods themselves, which are bad enough because it's polluted water, as you said. And then you have the diversions that Louisiana is still thinking about, although the current governor, Jeff Landry, says he thinks these diversions are bad ideas. The Mid-Breton diversion, if done, would do worse than the Bonnet Carre to the Mississippi Sound, and it would be open 24/7. The third thing is those dead zones, the toxic zones that you're talking about from the fertilizers and animal manure that's upriver. Where we grow food, we need to grow the food, but the fertilizers should be taken out before it gets into the river. And we think that's a national problem. It's really a national problem that calls for a national solution.